Brandon Miracle.
John Cartwright.
How are you doing today?
I am beautiful.
You are beautiful. So, Aspyr have released another Tomb Raider game, and that may sound like a threat to some people because the previous port was a little bit iffy. It was largely based on the 360 version because it was ported to Switch 1, and then the Switch 1 version was ported to Switch 2, but with 60 frames per second. And so you didn't get stuff like the nice hair, and there were weird instances where reflections were missing. So there's a scene where Lara looks in the mirror, but there's no reflection looking back at her. It was a bit of a messy port. And so the prospect of them going straight to the sequel, which was an Xbox One showcase game, is a little bit concerning. So let's take a little look at this. And just to answer the question, is this the 360 version or the Xbox One version? And we can comfortably say this is the Xbox One version, but I do find the 360 version fascinating because it's one of those instances where they downgraded a game for the previous generation. And so just getting a side-by-side between 360 and Xbox One, which is running on a Series X right now, I think this is just a really cool port. It's just crazy that they pulled this off. They had to, remove some effects and some atmospheric effects. The snow deformation, Lara's hair's different, but I think this is just one of the coolest ports out there, just the fact that they managed this.
I'm looking at the Switch 2 versus the Xbox version now, and some of the background details in the far distance get kind of lost, like some of the fog effects aren't quite as dense. But honestly, I don't think that really affects my opinion of the image that much. This looks very competent.
It's largely good, yeah. So when you have Series X, which is the Xbox One version, against Switch 2, I think they're very similar images, but there are still some downgrades going on. So it's definitely not the 360 version, and you can tell that very much when you get to the desert scene, where on 360 you have quite orangey colors, whereas there's more of a natural look on both Series X and on Switch 2. But one area you can definitely see a downgrade on Switch 2 is the snow deformation. And there's a part where Lara collapses on the snow, and they both deform. But Switch 2 doesn't seem to do it quite right. There's definitely not the same impact that Series X has there. But I think that's something that you're really only going to pick up on in comparisons. But it is a shame they didn't quite nail that aspect. And there's one point later on as well where you can see the textures aren't quite as sharp as they could be. So in the cave near the end of the video, on Lara's arm, you can see that on Series X, you can see all the scratches and scabs on her arm. And on Switch 2, it's a bit more blurry, which I think they could have done better than this. Because on Switch 2, we're getting PlayStation 5 quality ports. And the fact that we're not quite matching Xbox One in all its levels is disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, and it is blurrier, but had you not mentioned that, I don't think it would have stood out to me so much. Like, if I was playing this version in a vacuum, I think I'd have very little to complain about.
That's very much it as well. Again, these side-by-sides are, they're good to figure out, what exactly you're getting. But in the moment, a lot of this stuff won't matter. And so I guess the questions to ask really are, how does it run? And every version, apart from the PlayStation version, runs at 30 frames per second. So 360 is 30, Xbox One and Xbox One X, they are 30. And Switch 2 is also 30. For whatever reason, even though this was an Xbox One showcase game and was exclusive to Xbox One for a while, the PS4 version, PS4 Pro specifically, and on PS5, I suppose, if you're running on there, does run at 60. So maybe they could have pushed this to run at 60, because I think it could have handled it. But it doesn't. This is a 30 frames per second game, but it doesn't really dip, though. It's just a solid 30.
I guess outside of just getting 60 FPS, there's not much more you could ask for there. As long as it's consistent and, watching the gameplay here, like nothing in particular standing out to me as far as the frame rate goes. 30 FPS can be jarring if you've been playing a lot of 60 FPS games, but 5 to 10 minutes into playing a game at 30 FPS, at least for me, I just kind of get used to it, and I kind of forget that that's how I'm playing it.
Yeah, exactly. And these are very cinematic-based games. Like if you
Right.
enjoyed Uncharted 4, that was also 30 FPS on PS4. It's that kind of experience. And Rise of the Tomb Raider is a fantastic game. It's one of the best in the entire franchise, and it's definitely the best of the Survivor games. So I think it's something that, if you've not played it before, this is a nice, flexible way to do it. Handheld mode looks really nice. So there are the general Aspire problems that kind of show their face. But in terms of, technical performance, visuals, I think they've done a decent job. One area where they haven't done a decent job, and this speaks to the other Tomb Raider Survivor game, is the control options. So in that one, they gave you the option for gyro controls, and for a long time it did nothing. And then they patched it and removed the option for gyro controls. And then they patched it back in, but it still doesn't control gyro aiming. It's like used to rotate things around with like items and things. So it's
How
not what
do
you'd
you
want
mess
it to
that
do.
up?
I don't know. And it's back again, and it still doesn't control aiming.
So you have an option called gyro in your menu. You turn it
Yeah.
on and it doesn't do anything.
It seemingly does nothing, yeah. They've also got mouse controls, which is nice. It's also in the original, but it seems to have analog acceleration on it. So when you move your analog stick, it doesn't just go full speed. It speeds up as you go to control the camera, make it feel smooth for a controller, which is good for sticks, doesn't feel good for mice.
Oh, so it's like it's mapped to the functionality of the analog
That's what it
stick.
feels like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so like you can do that on Steam with Steam input, and it just never feels good.
No,
It doesn't feel natural.
Yeah, the point of a mouse is to have like snappy, instantaneous movements, and it doesn't feel like that. So they definitely messed up in a few areas here. But what you get is an okay, decent version of Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's portable. Could they have pushed for 60? Most likely. Could they have met all the visual standards of Xbox One? I think so. But if you're just playing without a comparison frame of mind, I think it's decent.
Yeah, I think bottom line, like you got to remember that you're playing this on mobile hardware. It is very much not a compromised version of the game. Like I'm not going to play this and it's not going to be super fuzzy looking. It's not going to run like garbage. Like this is about as good as you could have played the game when it first came out. And I think that's really, really admirable for a mobile console.
I mean, my big fear was it was going to be based on the 360 version, so at least that didn't happen. But anyway, that is Rise of the Tomb Raider. A decent port, could have been better, but it is very, very playable. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We've got more comparisons on the channel from the Direct, including Star Fox and Ocarina of Time, and also the Xenoblade Switch 2 edition and Kingdom Hearts 3, so we've been pretty busy. Also Switch Sports Resort. So check all those out, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya.